see what their priority is based on the way that they draft. And we'll have to keep an eye on their early game pathing as well, because that will really show what they're trying to shut down maybe for the side of New Age, or at the very least prioritize for themselves.
Well, here's the good news, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get into the picks and bans. And as pretty as the pair of us are, I know it's League of Legends that you all came here to see. So as you can take a little gander down to the bans, you can already see a few of these, like a mid laner taken away for age, and it's gonna be some junglers knocked out for Glaive. They don't appreciate the supportive style that can come out from age in that jungle. So you have the Zoe and the Rel knocked off early for age, and Seraphine plus the Ivern going to be taken out by Glaive.
Yeah, I like the bans coming in from Glaive. The Ivern is an interesting one considering some of the nerfs to his kit as well as
Mhm.
Moonstone Renewer and other healing items. So interested to see why they're banning that one away. Maybe a specialty of Age King in the jungle. The Seraphine ban, of course, still going to be pretty common. She's just a
Yeah.
busted champ. So much free range, so much to available in that kit. I believe that Zoe is a targeted ban at Alterist, actually, which is cruel against the mid laner just coming in to substitute for Peter de Nunes. But I believe that is one of his most played champions on the account. So taking that one away, and then Rel and Udyr, of course, we all know the story about Rel and Udyr. Those are some power picks that just cannot be allowed to fall through to Glaive. But the Nunu going to round it out. This is another pick that Age King absolutely loves. We saw him play this one on stream earlier on in the year, and he absolutely dominated with the pick. So not surprised that that one's taken away, but oh
Mm.
my word.
Yeah, let's get a little saucy with this one. Why don't we? Viego getting thrown onto the Rift. As to where he's going, take your pick. You can really flex this position to three different places depending on how much gumption you really have. Although typically you will see him in the jungle or the top lane as the slightly more cheesy. And I have seen it before, or the mid lane if you're a madman. And I don't know, Alterus might have something really crazy up his sleeve here, but Glaive, not to be outdone, busting out the Lee Sin. We're fighting new with old here.
Yeah, Lee Sin, we haven't seen Lee Sin in a while. It's been a farming jungle meta, but maybe with some of the changes to jungle coming in on the last patch, we'll see some more ganking supportive junglers. And, every jungler loves to flex on the Lee Sin. They love to pull it out. They love to get the kick animations going. And can't imagine that that is any different for the likes of, I believe, POS here for Glaive
Yeah.
Amethyst. He's going to want to jump right on that. But I love this from New Age. I love the Viego pick. We talked about wanting to add some spiciness to try to throw off Glaive, who are such a controlled, organized team. And if there's anything to throw them off, it is a busted new champion that does not have a lot of times for this team to prepare against, a lot of plays against. So I absolutely love this. As you mentioned, could be mid lane, could be jungle. And this is a great start to the draft, I think, for New Age.
I totally agree. And frankly, yeah, when it comes to throwing someone off a game plan, this is about as good as it gets. Samira's not going to be that prioritized as a pick. So they are going to go with the Jhin and the Zaya. I don't know if everybody notes, but Samira can't dash to allies anymore, which is a pretty big change. It's fairly gnarly. Went the way of Leona, where once you go in, you're staying in. So instead, we're getting some of the other big 80 carry picks coming through. It's going to be Jhin by Glaive with a Yoke. I am even more excited to see. Zaya Thresh, a bottom lane duo that is going to be really good for damage and has tons of zoning. So I think we have a very spicy bottom lane ahead of us. Bans coming out for both squads once again. Glaive knocking out the Camille, who, even though she did get nerfed, got nerfed in all the wrong ways. And Leona, meanwhile, is going to be helping out that new age bottom side, trying to maybe stifle the most dangerous part of the Glaive lineup.
Yeah, they are going to take away the Leona. We mentioned Bullet Print's very, very proficient on the engaged support, so that one will be taken away. And do apologize. I think it is Baby Powder is the jungler, so
Yeah,
mixed up my names there. We'll be piloting the Lee Sin. That Yone in the hands of POS though
right.
should be fairly interesting. I am interested to see if that is a blind pick. I'm not sure if they're picking that with the expectation that the Viego is mid, but if it is blind, there are plenty of counters in the early parts of the game to a Yone. He is a very strong champion as the game gets going, particularly good against immobile mages, but you can just pick around that, try to pick something with a little bit more utility. You do have the options available if you are New Age, as we see that support pool going to be pinched away from Glaive. They don't want Trivia Boy on these engaged supports, and the Camille and the Malphite some more engage and lockdown. It's all lockdown taken away in these second bans, but they left the Galio up.
Yeah, they left the Galio, the man with the taunt, man with the knockup, the man with the ultimate, and the ultimate get out of jail free card built into his kit. He is still there, and he is snagged up by Glaive. And judging position, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that is 85% gonna be the support in the Galio. So I really like Galio's matchup into Thresh. Thresh, yes, he can knock Galio out of the taunt, but if you're playing Galio into that bottom side, you're probably going to be trying to get out of lane fairly quickly anyway. I mean, the second you hit 6, goodbye bot lane, it's been real. But even pre-6, you know, he's got one of the best lockdown kits pre-6. So sure, yeah, he's gonna be slightly struggling against the Thresh. However, in team fights, he could be so much more impactful. Hecarim and Silas. And I guess New Age just sees a lot of what Glaive has, decided they like it, and they're going to steal it all. Because they have the champion stealer in Viego and the ultimate stealer in Silas. This is a pretty interesting composition. And so I'm thinking that is going to be Viego top and Silas in the mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like it will be. Well, I guess yeah, it could be either. Really, we'll
Right.
see what the options are. I would go the other way more likely. I would imagine Viego probably in the short lane, Silas in the top lane. But would be a Silas blind pick if that does go into the top lane. So maybe liken the Silas into Yone. I haven't seen a lot of Viego top. Granted, again, haven't seen a whole lot of Viego in general, considering
Right.
how new the champion is and the fact that he has been disabled in most pro leagues around the world to date. So this is one of our, I believe it's our first look in heavy league. I think it might have been pulled out in light or mid league once thus far for excellency. So still a lot unknown about the champion's abilities, and that may be what New Age is counting on as we see that Nico locked in to finish up the draft. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see where this goes. The one real issue I have with New Age's draft is they really do not have a lot of AP damage here.
No, they don't. And on the bright side, as my co-host goes ahead and takes a second to close the door, you know, they have to face into Galio. Galio's one of those big... He doesn't love building armor. He really prefers to build MR if he can help it. So, in a way, it slightly counterpicks that Galio pickup. However, you know, you still obviously are gonna... Oh, slight flub there. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. They had a slight mix-up there, but it's not going to be too big of a deal. We are going to get right back into it very quickly. But in the meantime, yeah, lacking that AP damage is always going to be a pretty scary affair to deal with. Now, granted, I don't really look at Glaive Amethyst comp and think, ooh, yeah, there's a ton of guys who want to go super tanky here. It's really just the Galio.
Yeah, it really is just the Galio, and they do lack a bit of AP on their own side as well. Nico can put some out, but Galio going to be a support, so won't be bringing that much. The interesting thing that I think will be about the interaction between these two comps are Lee Sin wants to go in, right? He wants to dash in, he wants to get ganks off in the early game. Yone wants to go in, Galio wants to go in on top, Nico wants to go in on top. Zaya's pretty good into a lot of those things. Is pretty strong in lane. And I do like the Zaya pick more than I think what might have been an expected Aphelios to pair with the Thresh, because there is a lot of engage. There's a lot of champions that want to dive in on that back line for the likes of Glaive Amethyst, and Zaya can't immune all of it, but can do a lot to get rid of some of the threat on her life. And you want to try to keep Blazing Bronze alive. Blazing Bronze is one of the better AD carries in the league, has had excellent performances from New Age. So I do like prioritizing the safety as this Zaya continues to rise in priority around the major leagues in the world, in the amateur scene. So I like that pick a lot for them. And getting H-King on the Hecarim, I think, is also very important. You want him on something that he can carry on, that he has some agency to get in on. He likes to go in. He's been described as go ham by multiple of his teammates in multiple interviews with them. So I do think this is a good pickup, but he might have a little bit of trouble with the Lee Sin depending on how good the clear comes in for Baby Powder. We haven't quite seen a lot of Lee Sin into Hecarim recently, but Lee Sin is that scary early game jungler. He's going to be looking for early ganks, try to impact lanes, which is I think something we talked about Age King wanting to do,
Yeah.
and now really Baby Powder kind of taking over that role for Glaive this time around.
Well, of the two, Baby Powder is definitely a more killing focused jungler. He wants to get in, he wants to pick up a bunch of kills and try to carry the game himself if he can. And I think this is a great pick for it. What is really funny about both of these junglers is they both kind of have the same game plan, if you will. Now, Hecarim does want to get to 6 as fast as possible. Lee Sin, yeah, getting the ultimate's really useful, but it's not a requirement. It's not like a prereq to getting to play the game. So they're both going to be fighting a lot in the early mid game. As you get to late game, basically they're both going to be a walking ultimate, where they're both going to be looking for that one big kick or that one big fear to turn the tide of a fight before the fight really even starts. So they're both going to be like focused on the same exact play style, and we're really getting a skill check between the two of them to see who's better at executing that specific style. Is it going to be Age King or Baby Powder?
Yeah, that will be a big skill check. And in particular for Baby Powder, Lee Sin, sort of the pinnacle of mechanical jungling
Yeah,
for a lot of
the vein of jungle.
Yeah, essentially. Every jungler wants to pull it out. They want to try to carry on it. Even though it is, again, a ganking jungler, it requires action in the early game to be relevant, or it does just sort of fall off, become a kick bot later on. But I'm sure that Baby Powder will be backing himself for that sort of game style. Very high tempo in the early game. He's going to want to match Age King, excuse me. And just like you said, it's going to be a big skill check because once the Hecarim hits that level 6, kind of counter to what Age King might be doing on a Jarvan or whatnot, he is still going to be going in, but he's going in and trying to be a carry. Hecarim needs to be a carry. He needs to get kills. He needs to be inside that back line, getting multiple Qs off. And so he will be in that fight where he wants to be, but instead of being in and out or being in a tank, he's going to be in looking for those kills. So that is a critical matchup in this game for both sides, because if either one of those junglers falls behind, they will become useless very quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're basically like a walking, flopping ward at that point with a R button that can be useful if they can't keep up the pace here. And I don't think we're going to see both of these guys keep up the pace. Somebody's got to break. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be one of the two of them. And there's a very, very good chance that whoever does break is going to be the one that loses the game. So the jungle is going to be my main matchup to watch here. Now, we have as insane of a mid lane matchup as we could possibly ask for. Viego and Yone. I actually know very little about this matchup. I have to assume that Yone is probably slightly at a disadvantage here into the Viego, but I mean, with the 2v2 jungle mids, we could get some absolutely explosive fights at around the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, and that's sort of why I agree with you that jungle might be the place to keep your eyes on, is because I expect jungle mid, particularly from Glaive Amethyst. And, jungle mid has been something that was so incredibly important at the end of last year, but has sort of been more important for the mid to be following the jungler at the beginning of this year. And when you're playing Lee Sin, it's the complete opposite. You want to be around your mid laner. You want to have synergy with your mid laner. And so this is a bit of a volatile matchup. These are two melee AD champions. I agree with you that in that melee matchup, Viego should be a little bit favored. I think he'll proc Conquer more quickly if he does take it. I don't quite think Yone has the burst damage to get through a lot of his healing and the execute on the ultimate. He'll need the help of a champion like Lee Sin. So I expect Glaive to give the reins to Baby Powder to be around POS in the early game, try to combine with him well to shut down this Viego pick that we don't know a lot about, that we haven't seen a lot about. Maybe Glaive is prepared for it already. Either way, I expect that to be a big point of action, and hence that jungle matchup will be critically important to see how they path through the early game and how they do protect or synergize with their mid laners.
Absolutely, and this is gonna be the main breaking point for me as to why Galio was the perfect pick here. Galio collapsing in on a mid lane fight is not only entirely possible, but I would even go so far as to say should be expected. Thresh, he's got to float his little butt all the way up the river into that mid lane to get there. All Galio has to do is take about 10 steps in the right direction and press his ultimate button and get that grand entrance onto the Yone. Even you can even go forward as the Yone, jump forward, start hacking, dicing, slicing, and then drop the Galio on top to where he is. Boom, free Galio engage right there. He's already all over Viego, which is the last place Viego wants him. So I think if I'm Trivia Boy, and I know that Yone versus Viego is going to be one of the main breaking points of this matchup, Lisa and Hecarim are probably going to be spending a lot of time there. I want this Galio to have the grandest of entrances here.
Yeah, roaming will be critically important. Galio can get there quicker, but we do know that Thresh can roam, and Xayah, at least past level 6, is very safe on her own unless a lot of members come down into the bot lane. So it might require a little bit of extra execution from Bullet Prince. Not as easy as, like you said, having that big grand entrance, but I do expect a lot of attention and roams from those supports. And as we've seen all year, particularly for Glaive, it is critically important to have your support out on the map supporting your macro plays.
Absolutely. And I think that we've said about all there is to say on this bad boy. So thank you so much for staying tuned with us so far. And we are about ready to get into game here. So for myself and DJ, it is time to throw it onto the Rift with Doctor and Necrox. Ladies and gentlemen, which one of these two teams are going to prove themselves to be the elite of the Excellency Heavily League? Stick around and find out.
Welcome back, everyone, to Excellency Esports. Thank you, DJ and Juicebox Guy, for giving us the breakdown. Now it's time to get your execution on. It is Glaive Amethyst at the top of the table, taking on New Age, and I'm joined by someone I have never had the pleasure of casting with. It is the one and only medic we have on the team, Doctor. We're gonna get a little bit of a cheeky invade coming out.
Yeah, this is some interesting stuff we're seeing here. Typically, it is going to be that 5-point stance. but we do see New Age taking a little bit of the surprise factor from their composition to see if they can't get something cheeky. I do like the thought, try and take a little bit of a gander here because they are, presumably the weaker team of the two. We have our number 1 seed right now going up against basically our 5-6 seed. So try something cheeky. Didn't quite work out, but they do get a wonderful deep ward in there, so they will know that the enemy jungler Baby Powder is not going to be starting on the bottom half of the map so far.
Yeah, and we'll understand that that ward is down, so Baby Powder going to avoid the enemy vision as much as possible. And if you didn't see it already, go ahead and check in chat. If you want to have a group to watch with, make sure to go ahead and join us on the Excellency couch, not Doctor and I, as we have the responsibility of breaking down the game and giving you the cast. But there's a bunch of people that would love your presence to break it down with you on the couch. As we get a little quick intermission there from our analyst desk, but regardless, we are back in the action. No early invade shenanigans that amounted to anything, and looks just about normal. The only thing that is kind of surprising is that both of these top laners will be playing AP style. We're not going to get really any tanks in this game other than the supports.
Yeah, that part's a little odd, and I do like your thought about the couch. I have had this conversation with... nice little engage here, tons of damage. I have had the couch versus chair versus standing conversation with a lot of different commentators over the years, and couch seems to be one of the higher ranked ones, just for comfortability, but standing overall seems to be the way to go to sound more professional. But hanging out on the couch with your bros and shooting the stuff as you lay out on the couch, that's a good time. That's a good time. Everybody should be able to try at least once in their time here. But yeah, so far things going pretty standard. Nobody really having much advantage except for in the mid lane. This substitute Altruist coming in and already 10 CS ahead of POS 2.
Yeah, unknown quantity here in the mid lane, right? We don't really know what Altruist in New Age can do. His account looks relatively new. Here we go. That's a good taunt into the Justice Punch. And speaking of Altruist, he's going to show himself in the bottom lane. Burn that flash off the Trivia Boy, and here comes the Pony to join the party. Won't find too much as everyone has raised the white flags, found themselves a clean disengage. But as a flashless, Galio always can be a repeatable gank.
Yeah, I like the idea. You're already taking such an advantage here in the mid lane that you can take the time to roam down. I kind of would have liked if they'd waited just a second longer and been able to get Age King in there as well to make it a really potent gank and maybe mess up the flash timing there. Oh no, that's not where you want to do, POS.
Needs to get out of here as the Baby Powder's coming in to join as well. Potato finding a good engage in the top side, and would you look at that? There's a gank in top, and it doesn't even matter. Excuse me, I meant there's a gank in bot and a play in mid, but it's top lane that's solo killing Potato Senpai. Has found its New Age themselves a first blood against the top of the table Glaive Amethyst.
Listen, typically this is where somebody would say they're not gonna say I told you so. I'm not that kind of person. I freaking told you so, Juicebox. It's the Potato Senpai bringing them to the playoffs, and Clonk, Gronk, Zonk is gonna have to sit that one out. It's a great play there. I loved saving the abduct portion of the E to wait till the invisibility paired off and they knew exactly who was going to be the clone there. Just great knowledge of the matchup. Not everybody is going to be able to be that patient, but Yone just has certain tools you can really take advantage of, and that was how you do it.
Potato, he's found himself in a troublesome situation once again, using that flash, trying to reposition. When's the Kling Slayer off of cooldown? Does he get all that HP back? Doesn't look like he has it just quite yet, and there's the ward hop from Baby Powder to secure a return kill onto the enemy top laner. It was Clonk that didn't even need to use his teleport to get back in the lane. So Glaive Amethyst not going down without a fight, but remember, it's the Galio. Trivia has no flash, but he's found a return kill all the same. The Death Sentence coming forward, the heal keeping Trivia alive for now. Ignite ticking down, but Jin's run out of shots. He's only got 4 in the chamber, and it will be a kill passed on over to Chaser, as the flash away from the Deadly Flourish will keep him safe for now. 3-2 on the scoreboard, but we have an absolute bloodbath on Summoner's Rift between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 5.5 minutes into this game so far, and while that may look good for New Age there, they're getting a lot of stuff going on the Rift.
It's okay, Doctor, I understand. It's choking under the pressure just like Glaive Amethyst. They're supposed to be absolutely steamrolling this game, and yet it's 3-2 in favor of New Age. Hopefully Doctor's all right. We should get him back off soon
better.
after he's done it. See, you're a doctor. How can you do that? You're supposed to be the cleanly one with all the cures, and Glaive Amethyst looked to be sick.
I mean, I cured myself with the Heimlich, so it kind of works out. Spoilers note, I don't actually know how the Heimlich, I never went to that class. That was on a Tuesday, so I had other things to do. But I did want to point out that while we're seeing some good stuff from New Age, what we have seen has also been quite concerning. It's mostly that bot lane gank. There was a lot of different things there, small little mechanical misplays that kind of messed them up in the long run. Mainly, we did see the play out of the Feather Recall, which is quite problematic because that is a lot of
Soul Unbound. You have to get back to the point of origin, but Chaser couldn't find the play. The Q3 keeping POS2 safe. That's a lot of feathers in the back of Vark, but a 4 shot evens out the trade. And everyone's getting involved here in mid lane. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought really that we were going to get a play, but we're going to get one of Blazing Bronze instead. Look at Trivia Boy. He's found himself a nice little angle. Justice Punch connects. There's the Deadly Flourish. There's the taunt, the Chain CC, and Blazing Bronze can't play League of Legends. Trivia Boy found himself his second kill of the game. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Pop Blossom on top of Pop Blossom. Everyone's got the shields, but Klonk Throng Stonk is losing the trade at the end, and Potato, he's double killed. Klonk in his own lane, Juicebox guy, he's shedding some tears.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problematic matchup in a certain way. This is looking to be, so far, the full AP Nico, so not that danger split push threat. It has been what everybody's been playing on the current season's current patch, so it makes the most sense. It's a big burst. You do a ton of damage with it. It's great to see, but when you're going up against Silas, who does have all this healing, all of this crowd control, and just general annoyance abilities and stickiness, you don't get a chance to really, cycle off your full combo. And even when you do, he has that Kingslayer, heals up back almost all of it, and it's going to force you to get an early Oblivion Orb, which might not be the best thing for you because, yes, there's a lot of healing on the team. Obviously, Viego, the Silas, and the Xayah can get a little bit, but is it good for lane? Is it what you exactly need? I mean, looking at what they have so far, they're hanging out a lane with 2 amps, a Sapphire, and double rings, not even any potions. So if they do get engaged upon, that's lasting damage. There's no heal in Nico Kit.
Yeah, and here we go. We're going to look again towards this bot lane as Trivia Boy has the flash available this time. Will expend it to get out of the play, but Ultras, man, he has been everywhere on Summoner's Rift tonight. It's a new quantity, again, for New Age. It was just learned before the match that we were going to have to get a sub here for the New Age mid laner. Here we go, near the Rift Herald. Shelly's the target, but Age King may just find himself having to retreat away. The feathers are going to fly with the Feather Storm, and there'll be Blade called, but Vark will sidestep the route. So it's fighting once again in top and mid. It looks to be New Age and have priority over this Rift Herald. Good binding over the wall with the Strangle Thorns. Not sure that there's much follow-up, though. The engage just really isn't available. It would have to be a good fate sealed, or it might just have to be a misplay. There's the play in one, and the jungler has been slain. It's a double kill on over to Baby Powder. It was traded back 1 for 2 by Potato, but Ultrest is on the run. It's a double buff Lee Sin trying to track down this new mid laner, but Baby Powder won't be able to find the angle. 5-5 on the scoreboard. Once again, it's back to even, but Rift Herald will be denied. There's the resonating strike, and the safeguard will keep Baby Powder alive. The bot lane play is now going to go forward, and Chaser's going low. He's taken down. The Galio ultimate was channeled just to give a little bit of a magic shield, but the TP's coming in now from Potato. Vark going low, but the 4 shot's not enough to take out Blazing Bronze. The abduct won't land, so Blazing Bronze going to go down for his sins. Potato will trade. They back the enemy AD carry. It's an absolute fiesta, Doctor. These two teams need to calm down, take their medicine, and reevaluate the situation.
Vark definitely getting some attention from the Senpai there, finally teleporting down, but a little too late, unfortunately, and just had to use a lot to try and get anything there. The bot lane is so explosive right now. You saw Chaser just explode into a matter of seconds, and that's the scariness of this Jhin, who can get that 4th shot, can get these down. dancing grenades on top of everything that Galio can do, which has some pretty good base damages. It makes a lot of sense to see damage coming out of it. And it's what happens in this lane. There's not a whole lot Thresh can do in the lane itself to really prevent that from happening. So, scary stuff. We are still seeing Potato in a good spot, if a bit shaky, as it seems, coming into the rest of the team. But, I mean, you talked about that Herald fight. We needed a good Fates Unleashed. POS2 got a perfect one, if there ever was one, and it completely changed the aspect of that fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things going on at Summon Shift at the same time, so it makes it a little hard, but yes, it's a good Fate Sealed from POS2 to change the tides of that fight, to turn it around there for Glaive Amethyst. Then the bot lane, the sheer base stats that a Jhin Galio have together are always going to be enough to blow up one target, but then, towards the end of that fight, Vark just runs out of bullets. His champions only got 4. So Blazing Bronze is able to make a play instead. Ultra's going to be rooted up from long range. The Fate Sealed is there, but in the wrong direction. The curtains have been opened. Ultra is trying to put on his dancing shoes. He's tip-tap-toeing away, and in comes Age King to body block the last shot. Didn't even connect regardless. Baby Powder his fancy shoes himself. But no kill there in the mid lane. Good stuff by Ultras to avoid that play.
Yeah, definitely some fancy red slippers there. Does play very dangerous when they're low HP. I know there's a lot of healing in the Viego kit, but it's a little nerve-wracking to see them hanging around here with like 15% HP when there's like a Lee Sin, a Jhin, and a Yone. But Baby Powder now.
He's got to get over this wall. It's a beautiful death sentence from Chaser to follow the safeguard. POS2 now has to run for the hills, but how far do his tiny legs take him? It's only under his mid-tier 1. Ignite will tick down. Age King, you're in a wrong spot. Will be able to get away to the safety of the enemy jungle. It's a 1-for-1 in mid. Here we go. Clonk Wrong Zonk is going to be followed with the abduct. It's a good play from Potato. Doesn't have the damage to be able to end up finishing that kill. Man, 9-9. We have more than a kill a minute, and we're only 13 into this one. Haven't even gotten to full team fights yet.
No, we don't even have mythics, really. We got one onto Potato Senpai. Makes sense. He's got 4 kills. And we have one onto the top laner, who, again, Klonk, who does stuff, I guess. And then, obviously, Gore Drinker onto Baby Powder. So, really kind of lacking a lot of items. And I think this is actually a trend that we may see continue in a certain way. We did see on LCK today, we did see an Ezreal ended the game 3 items, no mythic. Which, in a certain way, is kind of crazy if you think about it, right? Like, how many games do you play where somebody doesn't go mythic item first? It's almost unheard of, but Ezreal can do it. Well, I'm sure we'll find out a lot of other champions that can also do it for a number of reasons. And for now, we're kind of seeing it, right? Like, we're seeing boots first from both the Hecarim and the Viego, which Hecarim makes sense. You need the move speed for the bonus damage. You don't exactly have like a jungle mythic anymore like in previous seasons, so you can kind of hang out for a little bit till that Divine Thunder comes online, and then you really come online. Viego needs the boots just a little bit to stay alive, and will be picking up the Immortal Shield. Actually, they're picking up the Blade of the Ruined King first.
Age King looking for this dragon, gonna go forward, has to be able to smite secure, but no, it's an early smite, so it will be Baby Powder to secure the dragon for his team. Well done. Patience on that blind monk in the name of Lee Sin. They get their second dragon of the game, so it's Glaive Amethyst with complete and utter objective control this game. But man, we were talking about how New Age just needed to shake things up, get Glaive Amethyst uncomfortable to play. Interrupt the taunt there was beautifully done by Chaser, who's looked so good this game. And New Age shaking things up, bringing in Altruist, creating this unknown quantity, and just making Glaive Amethyst feel uncomfortable, as aforementioned. And it looks like it's starting to work out. At this point, we typically expect Glaive Amethyst to be about 3 or 4k gold ahead, but this game is dead even. And speaking of no mythics, POS2 is looking to finish his, but Potato looking to set him a little further behind, stealing away the Fate Sealed. Resonating Strike won't connect, but we're going to get a collapse here in the bot lane. However, in comes Age King. The Winds of War are thrown. They are a-blowing, but everyone retreats to safety. Unless Age King is going to continue this one, and indeed he is. A flash away from Vark. A hook will not connect from Chase. The death sentence goes a little bit wide. POS2 and Ultras duking it out once again, but the Soul Unbound is there. The Fate Seal's gonna go forward, and POS2 is found a way out of the fight, and he's gonna escape back to safety. H-King is here on the run, has to find a way out, but won't be able to do it. Vark has found himself a sweet double kill. Potato will trade one back onto onto POS2. Chaser will go down for his troubles, but now Glaive Amethyst have found a 4-for-1 trade, much more adept at what we're used to see them doing.
This is the type of Hecarim game that breathes life into my hatred of the champion, because this is literally everything wrong with it, right? Like, we're seeing them fall behind early. They're way behind their counterpart. Now they're starting to feel desperate because they think they need to get something done for their team. So they go incredibly too deep, and as the jungler, they're making the call for the team, and everybody follows it. And from that point, it was just disaster. As soon as they went into the enemy jungle, the play was scrapped. It was totally chalked, and now we're going to see them try and keep the thing going.
Yeah, good taunt there from Chibiboy to keep Vark safe, but he will be the sacrificial lamb. He will flash away with the Nimbus cloak, and that means H-King cannot follow. It was wonderfully played by Trivia and Vark to actually get out of that initial engage, just having to burn the flash for a TP. Glaive Amethyst will call that one worth.
Yeah, Glaive Amethyst loves that play. They got summoner spells out of it. They didn't really lose too much. They lost flash onto the Galio, but at the end of the day, is that really important? Not really. So they're totally fine with that. Holy, that's a lot of damage.
That is so much damage from Ultras on this Viego. The Blade of the Ruined King was completed, and it's apt to the name. A solo kill?
Buddy.
Well, that was the wrong way to get out of the church, but we won't talk about that one. Ultras. I'm not even sure if taking a 1-for-1 is worth with a Yone. But you're the color caster. Maybe you can enlighten me. I'm not sure how hard Viego scales. He's so incredibly new. I don't know.
So, I mean, he does a ton of damage, right? Like, that was non-mythic item damage from what we're seeing.
In the world? We're forcing another fight. In goes the Galio ultimate. Vark's been shut down, had no summoners, only the heal to keep himself alive. The Justice Punch can't get Trivia back to safety. And another death sentence to deny the escape away. Chaser, pitch perfect on these hooks so far. Has the Ionian boots to reduce that cooldown as well. Feels real good. We can just throw hook after hook, as Rift-Herald will be the prize for that play in mid lane. It's Blazing Bronze looking to put some feathers in the back of Baby Powder. It's a lot of damage. The hook. Oh, that one doesn't connect. Rift-Herald still should go down regardless.
All right, Xayah is a great pick, right? I'm never going to say Xayah is not a bad pick unless she's actually a bad pick. She's been seeing a lot more play as one of those like tier 2 AD carriers when the rest of them get pick banned away. So it makes sense that you're picking it. That's not why you pick it. There's so little damage coming out of that Xayah with just the Gale Force, nothing else really behind it. And the play still kept already completed for Baby Powder, right? Like, that's a tanky Lee Sin, 4-1-3. Well ahead of the curve at this point, has a 20 CS advantage with the direct opponent, so Xayah will come online eventually. They need a little bit more oomph behind their feathers, but they'll get there. But other than that, that was a great play from New Age. That is exactly what they need to be doing. They need to be catching people off. They need to actually land all of their abilities. That's very crucial. And after what we saw down in the bottom side, they really just need to slow down. They have scaling. They have the Xayah. They have the Silas and the Viego. They just need to chillax. They need to take the chill pill, wait for the enemy to make a mistake, and take advantage of it. Whereas what we've seen so far is a bit of desperation from the so-called carries of the team here, the Hecarim, the Viego. They just need to relax.
All right, so it's been New Age that you've been prescribed your medicine. Now it's time to take it. Meanwhile, though, they did get the first dragon for themselves that denies the soul point to Glaive Amethyst. That can feel awfully good, especially when you are pressured at this point in the game. When you are the team that has the scaling, you need to just let this game sort of play out for a little bit and then start putting on the pressure. But denying that soul point will give them a few more minutes to themselves. So Glaive Amethyst at the top of the table. This team is supposed to absolutely roll this match, but New Age have a point where this game where they feel extremely comfortable where they're sitting. Viego sitting 3-4-3 has a lot of gold to his name. Xayah 2-3-4. That feels good. But the biggest win of all of them is Potato Senpai here, 6-2-1, 2 completed items at 20.5 minutes with those Ionian boots in hand. 250 gold shutdown. Potato has a lot to work with this game.
Oh yeah, and he's on definitely a champion he can work with too. It's the Silas. Last season, in the later half of the Excellency season, we were seeing this pick up, and it has something bonkers like an 85-90% win rate when picked. It was just absurdly disgusting numbers. So this is definitely the pick you can win a game off of almost solely, especially when you have ultimates like the Dragon Rage kick, the Fates Unsealed, the Pop Blossom. Like these are things that melt team fights, especially when you get that bonus damage from the Silas ultimate paired in with it. So with that 6 kill line, you do expect some really good stuff. This could be problematic if they can't win in this particular matchup though.
Potato going golden at just the right time to avoid the enemy Fate Sealed. It was Yone ult versus Yone ult, and at the end of the day, neither will lose their life for it. But now Baby Powder and Trivia Boy feel comfortable to step up into the enemy jungle to claim a little more land to themselves. And this is where New Age need to put their foot down and say no. This jungle does not belong to Glaive Amethyst at this point in the game. We're only 21 minutes in. It's only a 2k gold lead, and Potato Senpai might be a little bit caught out here. It is the Soul Unbound though, so if you don't get this initial kill, it would be disaster, but he does. POS2 with that one will escape over the wall, the Q3, but only into the waiting arms of Blazing Bronze, who will claim 550 gold in total worth of shutdowns. And here we go, Doctor. This is where the game can break wide open. Baron is called.
Not a huge fan of this play. There's enough damage on the side of Glaive. They can truly contest. They have the curtain call. They have the least damage.
The Pop Blossom goes forward. Chaser has to flash away. It's a good locket on everyone with the feathers. Don't do enough damage, and Alteres is been slain for the 3rd time this series. Blazing Bronze gonna go down as well. Do a beautiful kick, and this is a problem. New Age thought they had the move. The teleport is absolutely egregious. Has to immediately leave the scene. Baby Powder on a triple kill is feeling himself on this Lee Sin. In goes Potato with the Dragon's Kick of his own. But the kick will not be enough to shut down the hot hands Lee Sin, who has found himself at 7-1. This is disaster for New Age. A bad Baron call will lead to a Baron in the name of Glaive Amethyst.
Yeah, that's just such a head scratcher for me. You killed Yone, and that's it. But you traded 1 for 1. Like, there is still so much in the back pocket for Glaive there, and then why Potato? Why are you there, buddy? What do you think you're gonna do? You're a lone Silas. Even if you had stolen Pop Blossom, which you had already stolen, what do you do?
Yeah.
So it's man, Necrox. New Age didn't adhere to the plan they needed to. They need Blazing Bronze to get 1.5 more items than they currently have if they want to be considered to be able to do anything. They're trying to catch Vark out here, but Chaser's really the only one there.
Wow, dude. Double hook on the Vark, and he just can't move. Between the hooks, the flays, the box, everything, it keeps Vark locked down. And that's one player that is at a loss for Baron buff, so that feels good. But the bad news, it's the AD carry. He's never going to be in a lane by himself. He's not the one that's really providing the Baron buff to the wave. Regardless, Chaser is going to get caught out, and this is a dead Thresh. Locket may just keep him safe. Indeed it does. Well done there for Chaser on the Thresh, who has had his hot moments this game. But all that one call from New Age, and all of a sudden this game is right back in the hands of Glaive Amethyst. This is what they do. They punish you when you're expecting at least, and New Age certainly have been punished. Now Baron in the hands of Glaive Amethyst. This siege will go so poorly, and Potato chunked to a 3rd HP before Soul Point.
That's a tough sight to see. It's already halfway down. This is going to have to just be sacrificed. So it does give a bit of a win condition there over to Glaive Amethyst there in the terms of the Dragon. It's a Cloud Soul, so it could be better, but it's definitely nice to have that bonus move speed, that bonus cooldown reduction on your ultimates when you have these big name ultimates on the side of Glaive Amethyst. In POS2 has completed 2 items, right? Like they have the Immortal Shield Bow, they have the Infinity Edge, and that's just a power spike in itself. Look at this, they're going 1v2.
Ultras is looking to make the play, but POS2 will say no and shut him down. In comes the Galio ulti and the Lantern. The Dark Passage will keep the members safe here on New Age, but Ultras has been killed for the 6th time today. Chaser, good hook, but it doesn't mean all too much, as no one really has any damage at this point in the game to kill. Finally, Blazing Bronze will show up a good kick, but Baby Powder needs to get back over the wall with a safeguard to his teammate. Will do so successfully. Another hook will go out. Potato looking for Bark once more, but Baby Powder is here, and along with the rest of the squad, Potato, you're going golden, but for what purpose? As Baby Powder goes forward, Bark is the final one to pull a bullet into the back of Potato Senpai, who went from 6-2 to 6-5.
Is that a commentator's curse? Did we curse Potato Senpai? Did we talk about them too much? Is that kind of what happened there? It's a rough scene, right? Like they were winning their lane super hard in a Clonk, and then Glaive just said, hey, how about we just put Clonk somewhere else? Why don't we just send POS2 up there, who's also having a bit of a struggle bus here in the mid lane against Viego? And that was kind of like the beginning of the end for Potato. They couldn't really hang out in that lane because of how much damage and how much healing POS2 had, and so it was a lot more on demand than the Kingslayer is at that point, so couldn't get quite as much healing back, and at that point they just never were really in a position to help the team. They were losing 1v1s, they were in offsides during the big team fights, and you know, we all saw that teleport up top lane. I'm sorry, Potato, it's probably clipped, it's probably going to be seen again at some point. And it's unfortunate for the side of New Age that they seem to have fallen off of the page they were on in the beginning of the game, because that was a really good page. I liked that page. And now they're somewhere in the back of the book where we've gotten lost in the story.
Yeah, and it just feels like they've lost their way in this game as well. All to that one call. POS2 going to return himself with a bait sealed as well. Q3 will get him to safety. The chains will not connect, and neither will the slow. And the chain lash from Potato Senpai. So PS2 safe for now. But this is so rough for New Age. That 2k gold lead is now 7,000 in the name of Glaive Amethyst. They've already lost to Baron. It's Soul Point, with Soul coming up in 2 minutes, and they don't have a way towards this dragon. New Age, if they want to take down the champions of Excellency Heavy League so far, as we now enter the halfway point of the league, they're going to need a miracle.
I mean, look at the healing POS2 has. It's kind of disgusting if you think about it, because they only have the shield bow with runes. They don't have like a Bloodthirster. They don't have a Blade of the Ruined King. It's just runes plus shield bow, which, yeah, it was buffed, but it wasn't buffed in the healing aspect. It was just buffed in damage. It just hurts more. Whereas on the side of Potato Senpai, they only have the Kingslayer. It's the only healing they have, and now it's being cut by that Executioner's Calling. It is a rough scene for Potato Senpai now. They will no longer get that big Kingslayer heal because it's just completely cut. Yes, Altruist also has one, but as a drain tank champion with the Blade of the Ruined King, with the Gore Drinker, they're very impacted by POS2 picking up that Executioner's Calling, and it was once a winning lane. We haven't seen them in the same lane since they've gotten these 2 Executioner's Callings, so I am curious if it is actually still a winning lane for Alter.
Yeah, and I just don't feel like after a certain amount of time, Viego will provide any sort of use in comparison to a Yone at this point in the game. If you fly forward with the Fate Sealed and the Soul Unbound, Blazing Bronze is going to have to ult, Potato's going to have to Zanya's, Chaser's going to have to pop Locket, and you just don't have enough. I like what JVL said in chat. After 25 minutes, even Silas feels pretty freaking useless, and he was the one that was fed. Now at 29.5 minutes, JVL, your point is ringing true. Potato finally getting some value here, pushing this top turret, but with Soul up, Potato's going to have to TP into this fight, and it feels like the final stand here for New Age if they want to be able to take down Glaive Amethyst. This is their fight. Backs up against the wall. Their jungle's been taken for the past 5 minutes. Now it's time to put your foot down and say, we can truly beat this squad. Potato's still pushing here on top side.
Dragon has spawned, and they are going to get that tier 2 tower, but more impactful than that, look where Age King is, right? It's Dragon Soul, and you're taking the enemy Krugs. You're hoping to trade inhibitor for it, but there's no minion wave here. Clonk is getting good damage down, and so they just give up the Cloud Soul for a tier 2 tower. It's not really that worth it. Again, Cloud Soul, it's whatever. It gives you some bonus move speed after an ultimate. It gives you
Oh.
some cooldown reduction on your ultimate.
They're chasing.
But now,
They're chasing.
yeah.
They
They're gonna
want
get 'em,
these
too.
2 kills. They want these 2 kills onto Potato and Age King. They were the ones that were trying to make the play, but it's going to be returned. The Pop Blossom won't do enough, but a beautiful Lantern from Chaser just might deny the play from Glaive Amethyst. Yes, you gave up Cloud Soul. Yes, you were the team that's been set on the back foot in this later half of the game, but it feels so good to be able to get your members out. That would have been a second Baron to the name of Glaive Amethyst, but yet, alas, they will still start it. They're gonna pull this one regardless. That's a root. The Deadly Force is Baron Age King. No, you can't be caught out like that. You had the unstoppable force. A hook will actually take the blue buff there for Chaser. And what was crumbling has now fallen. New Age, you had a shot at this game, but with no jungler, the second Baron of the game will go over the kings of the table, Glaive Amethyst.
Without Yone, they have an incredibly slow Baron, and Yone was too busy clearing mid and taking towers and harassing Viego. New Age didn't have to push on through that choke point. He could have waited for a little bit of assistance for his team. It's the buddy system, folks. You've got to hold hands. It is a scary, scary world out there on the Rift, and so now with this Baron, they're going to get an inhibitor. It's just free of charge. It's open to the public. I mean, look at this. The tower's already gone. They're going to land a hook, but they can't fight this. There's no shot.
They want to. Trivia Boy taken down to about half HP, but same with Potato, and he's dead! Potato cannot make anything happen in the fight! The fate will seal the fate of New Age. They're gonna get wiped. Chaser's the only man standing to tell the story of how he thought he had a shot of taking down the Kings here in Excellency Heavy League. Glaive Amethyst, in just over 32 minutes, will take New Age's Nexus and the matchup we expected. Glaive Amethyst, well done to bring it back, well done to clean up the act, but certainly there are dents in the armor, there are cracks here being shown by Glaive Amethyst, and New Age are the ones to first look at the holes and say, yes, they are there, they are penetrable.
Yeah, they're gonna have to take a look at this draft. I mean, it's a solid draft. I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's just a little swingy. If, New Age had been stronger off of their start, maybe they could have carried through, but they just didn't push their advantages as much as they could have, and Glaive just eventually got more gold than they did.
Yeah, and at the end of the night, it's just Glaive Amethyst doing Glaive Amethyst things. Yes, it got a little bit messy in the beginning, but at the end of the day, they will always have better macro. They will always be able to outperform you at team fights, and that was an absolute stomping at the end of the day. But regardless, to break down the action, we have two of the best in the scene. It is Juicebox Guy and DJ to tell us what that